Kids, hope you're doing well at home. I know that things aren't the best right now, but just know that God is with you. And don't leave Him. Take advantage of this time to do stuff with your family or friends. Oh, well, not friends. Just with your family. Things you cannot do when you're at school. Today we're reading from Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33 from the New Living Translation. It's the story of how Jesus walks on water. Immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake, while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from the land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified in their fear. They cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I'm here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you, walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed.
Okay, so we've read the story. Let's dig into checking out what it really means. So, let's go back to the beginning. And we see right here, at the very beginning, it says immediately after this. So the question is, immediately after what? So of course, let's back up a little bit and let's see. The story right before it is the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. So it's important to know that he has just completed this giant miracle. He's given over probably about 15,000 people all the food they could need, and he sends them all away, and he sends his disciples away. And then what does he do? He's sending his disciples away, sends the people away, and he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. So first things first, Jesus is God, and yet he still took time to get away from everybody else and to talk with and communicate with God. And you are not God, so it's especially important that you find time to get away from everybody else and connect with God, read his word, and talk to him, and tell him your worries, and listen to the things that he tells you. So that's the first thing we can learn from this story, that Jesus is showing us how to live, and he's showing us that it's important that we make time to talk with God and to get to know him more. Now, the next part is kind of interesting. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. We all face troubles, okay? There might not always be storms, because then you just go in your house or go in the basement, right? But we always face troubles in our life that come up. And this is the interesting thing. This started happening, but Jesus didn't do anything about it until 3 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes God may put you through a trial in your life that takes longer than you think it should. You might be out there for many hours or many months or many years facing something really hard that you sort of start to wonder, where is God in all this? Where is Jesus? Well, this story helps give us some hope in that. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" And then Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." That's super important for us to learn. We do not need to be afraid of anything on this earth or anything that can happen in our lives, because Jesus is here with us. Secondly, Peter, the one who always has the crazy ideas, says, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water. So Peter does have some crazy ideas, but he's testing what Jesus just said. Jesus said, I'm with you. And Peter said, okay, if it's really you, then I should be able to walk on this water. And then Jesus says, yes, come. Because Jesus loves to prove his strength to us. He loves to let us trust him with our lives and then prove that that trust was worth it. So Peter went over the side of the boat, walked on the water toward Jesus. Big deal, right? It's pretty crazy. But, verse 30, when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. So what happened? Did the waves beat him? Was the wind too strong? No, neither of those things were too strong. The issue was he looked at them. He took his eyes off of Jesus, looked at the waves, looked at the wind, and he became what? Terrified. He was terrified and began to sink. Why was he terrified? Jesus was right there. He was terrified because he looked to the waves, he looked to the wind, and he started to doubt that Jesus was powerful enough. I mean, that's literally what happens. Watch. He goes, "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Immediately, Jesus reached out and grabbed him. And then what does Jesus say? "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" Okay? So that's the point, right? The issue is not that the waves were too strong for Jesus or that the wind was too strong for Peter, right? Peter didn't have any power in this situation. He was trusting in Jesus, and then he stopped trusting in Jesus. He looked away from Jesus, and he got scared. And Jesus said, "You doubted me." That was the issue. Okay? So why did God put this story in the Bible? Well, there's many reasons, right? But he's telling us that he is more powerful than anything in this world. And we need to trust in him to get us through it. Whenever we try to get through something with our own skills or our own strength or our own brain, whatever it is, if we try to get through something by ourselves instead of trusting God, then we are going to sink because the world is more strong than us. But Jesus is stronger than the world. And that's why we have to trust in Jesus. We have to turn to him, keep our eyes on him, and say, "Lord, save me, because I know you can." Right? And then, of course, when they climbed back in the boat, the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed. Yes, Jesus is the Son of God. And if you give your life to him, he will save you from everything. And now, just like we read, it might take some more time than you think, right? They were out there fighting the storm for a couple hours, it seems. And then Jesus came to them. And then Peter said, "Are you really God?" Jesus said, "Yes, I am. Come on out." And then Peter doubted him. Don't doubt Jesus. He loves you more than you can know. And he's stronger than anything in all of the universe. He's stronger and he loves you. So we have no reason to fear anything else. The only person we should fear is God because he's the most powerful. But what does he tell us? He says, "Do not fear. I love you and I am for you." That is the most amazing thing we can learn. So just remember to put your faith in Jesus, to trust him to get you through these things. We are in some crazy times right now with some weird stuff happening, and it can be scary. But can we trust that Jesus has a bigger plan for us? I can. And I'm going to put my faith in him. I hope you do too. Now, last week, I gave you the challenge of building the biggest, most awesomest fort that you can in your house. And then send me the pictures. I don't know, maybe some of you did it, but all I got was a couple pictures from Fernando. So Fernando's the big winner this week. Check out the fort that he made. Those are awesome, Fernando. So now, your challenge for this week, and come on guys, don't let Fernando just win again. Your challenge this week is to make some creation in the kitchen that is edible. That's important. Make sure it's edible. So your challenge is a cooking challenge. I want you to cook, bake, mix, whatever it is, something really awesome, something super cool that you love to eat, and send me a picture of it. All right? Cooking challenge. Ready, set, go.